Hello, and welcome to College Challenges, a podcast where we talk about our struggles as college athletes through the pandemic. My name is Katie, and today I'm joined by some of my closest friends and teammates, Ruthie, Maya, Sarah, and Madison. Today we'll be talking about our experience just about a year ago, spring break in 2020. Okay, so we'll start by talking about before spring break, when COVID wasn't even a concern yet. So we had a pretty interesting February schedule.
Honestly, the worst part was probably just the fact that we were bouncing from class to practice to class to practice, because we would have 3-4 practices a day. So it just kind of felt like we were always sweaty or always disgusting, or just we were always on the move, and there wasn't really a time to take a breath and kind of think about anything else, because it was either you were doing softball, you were in class, or you were studying, and those were the three things that our lives revolved around.
Yeah, and we were told that, it would be worth it, right? We're going right into season. We knew we had to be top-notch and preparing our best. And so, looking forward to it, we're okay, we're going to Florida. We're excited. It'll be our first 10 games of our 40-game season. So we understood the work that we had to put in. But it definitely was a lot just going into Florida.
I remember one of the practices right before we left for Florida. It was the night before I think we started getting all of the equipment ready. We had a team, we had gotten together at the end of practice, and coach was telling us about if we couldn't go on the plane because there were parents with concerns of COVID, and we were all just nah, it's not. That's not going to be a concern. We can go on a plane, whatever.
Yeah, I remember one of our teammates actually brought masks, her mom brought masks from home. I was I really want you to wear these on the plane. She was concerned about us in the public transportation because there had been a few cases already, and we all kind of brushed it off. And at that point, I think even the scientists and head researchers were oh, no, you don't need to wear a mask. That's not effective. So it was kind of a joke, honestly.
Yeah, when coach gave us, these, Clorox wipes and baggies, and all of us were what are we even going to do with these? And we just, put them in our bat bags. They didn't even use them. That was still in my bat bag when we got back. I didn't think any of it was really that big of a deal.
So when we got to the airport, everything was as usual. It was full, nobody was wearing masks, and life was normal. I think the only thing that really related to COVID was when we got on the plane, the flight attendants had Clorox wipes if you wanted them to wipe down your tray tables, which doesn't normally happen. But everything else seemed normal.
Yeah, we were super pumped just for a week of games and hanging out. I know my family had tickets to Disney World and didn't think anything of it, so we were excited.
I'm saying, we were all it wasn't the airplanes that you see now and all the footage and stuff. We were literally packed in, it was 3 in a row with 3 seats in the row. It was the whole plane was full. It was just kind of crazy to think about the fact that a week later everything was completely different.
That's true. We were in the vans, right next to each other, and, now on the bus, everyone has to have their own row of seats and be spread out and stuff.
And on one of our first days there, we went to Disney Springs, too. And, Disney Springs was completely packed. You were in, crowds of, hundreds of people. You couldn't get, a breath away from anyone. It was kind of crazy just to, think about how different, that world seems, how far away that seems, and it was only a year and a couple weeks ago.
It's kind of weird though, looking back, because it's thinking oh my god, we used to be that close to people all the time. You know what I mean? Looking back, it's before in Baker, all of the dessert was out on the table, and anyone could have touched any piece of cake they wanted just to figure out which cake they wanted, and now it's oh, they're all in plastic containers and stuff, and it's kind of gross to think back and be how many people touched that piece of cake before I ate it? You know what I mean?
Or yeah, the tongs, because we used to self-serve everything.
Yeah.
So the tongs just to get your food out.
Yeah.
And then even when you just think about how close the tables were, where you couldn't wiggle through.
Yeah.
It was literally you were stepping over people to get into your seat.
So we were having a blast in Florida. I don't know about you guys, but I was. We were such a close-knit team and close-knit family. We were jamming out. We had 2 of our teammates bring a guitar and a ukulele. So we were sitting in the living room jamming out to songs. We I remember the first night we got Olive Garden, which was literally like, you know, like self-serve, like.
Yeah, thinking back to that, we all touched everybody's food.
Everyone touched the breadsticks.
Literally.
We did that with everything.
Yeah.
Like, even like breakfast in the morning, we put the loaf of bread on the counter and everyone was just...
And it's like, hey, Madison, will you make me a piece of toast? Sure!
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Even when we went to like that restaurant.
Mojos?
Yeah, Mojos. Yeah,
Yeah,
like we were on top of each other. Like,
Yeah.
literally, like I was like shoulder to shoulder with everyone.
Yeah, literally there's a whole, it was like a pew. It was like a bench.
us at a long table.
Yeah.
Like reaching over people to get the salt shakers and the
Yeah.
napkins and stuff. But now you like have to like have a packet of salt.
Yeah, I literally had, Anna was sitting beside me. I literally had her french fries. I ate like 4 of them before I realized to give them to her.
Well, and at that point, like, COVID was definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Right, that was the end of the week.
Yeah, that was the end of the week. And earlier in the week, like, colleges were shutting down and things were getting crazy. We were worried about, like, travel bans and things like that. And restaurants still
Some of the
normal.
teams were even like getting sent home early, like because our games got changed because the teams had to go home because the colleges said they couldn't be there anymore.
Yeah, and I remember, like, I don't know, I kind of joked and was making fun of other teams that, like, you know, the parents were rushing out to the grocery store to buy flowers to make, like, makeshift senior nights and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, that's not going to happen to us. Yeah. And then towards the end of the week, like, our coach told us, like, hey, this is a possibility, but, like, no decisions have been made. So, like, whatever. Like, thought we were fine. And then it wasn't.
We were fine.
Nothing was fine.
There was like a point in the week that you could feel this like shift because we realized it was like getting worse. And we had like, when we had first found out that the school was going to have to make a decision, and you could like feel this like energy shift and everyone was just like, oh my God, like, is this real? Like, is this actually happening? And then we got the email like during a game that was like, we're going to extend spring break 2 weeks. And we're like, okay, well, yeah, spring break 2 more weeks. I can go sleep. And we're all still just kind of like, oh, like, no, like, we're going to go back to school. Like, it's not going to be a big deal. It's going to be, like, a little thing and we'll be back. But you definitely could feel that, like, shift.
I'll never forget, like, us waiting in, I think it was right field after the game, and Coach was on the phone with our athletic director. And, like, us just sitting there just waiting for, like, her to tell us something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember, too, like, we were all talking about it before, like, in the mornings whenever we'd get up early, and we're like, what's going to happen? And at that point, all of the Ivy League schools were shutting down and saying, like, you have 3 days to get off campus and go home forever, like, for the semester. And we're like, that's ridiculous, that's insane, but also at the same time, like, those are top-notch universities. Seems like most others are going to have to follow suit to that.
Yeah.
And so in the back of our mind, it was kind of like, wow, maybe it is a possibility, but, like, no,
We're like,
no
Judy,
way.
I don't want to do
We're a
that.
small school, like middle Pennsylvania. It'll be okay.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, at least for me, it got a little real when Disney announced that they're, like, shutting down. I was like, we were just there, like, 2 days ago. I'm like, why are they shutting down? Like, it's fine.
I think it really clicked for me after that one. I don't know if it was our last game, but when the seniors like started crying, I was like, oh man, like this is like real. Like I can't imagine how they feel. Like they definitely are thinking like this is going to be their last game. And I was still kind of like, no, like I still have hope. Like we're going to have a season. But that definitely was when I was like, this might actually be like it for us.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever, well, I did eventually, but I'd never really, in Florida, had that thought of, oh, we're not going to play again, like, for the rest of the season. I wholeheartedly believed that we were coming back and we were going to play. And I think that hit me hard later, but, yeah, I can't imagine being a senior in that situation.
Well, and our coach, too, like, she had instilled in us, like, you need to go home, you need to work out, you need to be doing your runs every single day, because we need to be in top shape when we come back for our conference games. Like, we are ready to almost have an advantage over the other conference teams because we were going to work hard over this break. And so it was really instilled in everyone, like, go home and get your work done, and we'll be back soon.
The end of the week was done. We played our 10 games, and we were heading back to campus. We got to the airport in Florida, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was definitely less people in the airport. Some people were wearing masks at that point, but not a lot.
I know we weren't wearing masks.
Yeah, we're in a huge group. Like, looking
Yeah.
back, it's like, you can't even have a huge group now with masks on, let alone then when we didn't have any masks on.
But yeah, so we came back to Pennsylvania, and it was a completely different world. And we'll jump more into that next time when we talk about the rest of our semester from home. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. That's all for our first episode, and we'll see you next time.